the first video on Truth Media TV or TMT, and for my first video I will be looking at YouTube's COVID-19 medical misinformation policy. Now you may be wondering, why am I looking at YouTube's COVID-19 medical misinformation policy? Well, I have been a victim of YouTube's censorship. And it keeps censoring the video for medical misinformation. Now, only a medical doctor can give medical advice, as far as I know. Anyone else outside of a physician, whatever it is that the person is saying, is an opinion and not medical advice or whatever it is that you want to call it. Moreover, if the person is not a professional in any specific field, let's say, for instance, if you're listening to the news, then you would be more inclined to act upon what the news is saying without double checking. However, if it is a YouTuber like myself, a responsible person would want to double check that whatever assertions that are being made by the person are true. Moreover, if the channel is responsible like myself, then the channel would provide supporting evidence of whatever assertions that are being made. If the assertions that are being made are corroborated by evidence and facts, then it cannot be misinformation, even if it goes against whatever the prevailing narrative is. So YouTube has been censoring, because that's what it is. YouTube is not the CDC, it's not the WHO. I'm pretty sure these are just random executives with probably business degrees who are determining what medical misinformation is. Right? Now let us look at what YouTube's policy regarding COVID-19 is. I am just going to read from the document because they keep taking the video down and citing medical misinformation when I don't see what the medical misinformation was, especially given that COVID-19 is still pretty much, there's a lot of confusing information. Even the WHO has contradicted itself. The CDC has contradicted itself. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the foremost person on COVID-19, has contradicted himself as far as the disease is concerned. So I am not sure how it is, therefore, if you are referring to something that was said earlier and perhaps was revised, or other prevailing opinions out in the public space coming from epidemiologists, doctors, virologists, toxicologists, and scientists, that it is construed to be medical misinformation. The safety of our creators, viewers, and partners is our highest priority. And we look to each of you to help us protect this unique and vibrant community. It is important that you understand our community guidelines and the role they play in our shared responsibility to keep YouTube safe. Please take time to carefully read the policy below. You can also check out this page, there's a link, for the full list of our guidelines. YouTube doesn't allow content about COVID-19 that poses a serious risk of egregious harm. This is the overarching objective of whatever guidelines they have put in place as far as COVID-19 is concerned. So therefore, when you are going to delete a video or give a channel a strike, you must assess a serious risk of egregious harm. But how can you assess a serious risk of egregious harm relating to medical misinformation if you do not have a medical advisor reviewing the evidence? Furthermore, especially when the subject matter under scrutiny has conflicting views in the medical and scientific space. But let us look at what they're saying. YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical misinformation that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's WHO medical information about COVID-19. This is limited to content that contradicts WHO or local health authorities' guidance on treatment. There is no treatment. Prevention, diagnostic, transmission. But this is a novel coronavirus. And everything in this sphere, as far as the novel coronavirus is concerned, is really still ongoing and emerging. So there are no hard facts relating to COVID-19 where you can take such a stance as to take down somebody's video proclaiming that it's going to cause egregious harm. Because at the end of the day, YouTube is a creative space. It's not an official, it's not like you're going to Fox News or CNN or CSNBC or the WHO's website or whatever to get the information. We are content creators and we have our niche audiences that we peddle our monologues or whatever it is that we are offering up for entertainment or information or educational value to our viewers. But let us continue. Note YouTube's policy. YouTube's policies on COVID-19 are subject to change in response to changes to global or local health authorities' guidance on the virus. This policy was published on May 20th, 2020. So at least they have acknowledged that the policy guidelines have changed. And what a case in point would be back in February when Anthony Fauci came on international TV and told people that they should not wear masks. And here we are in 2021 where it is mandatory for you to wear masks. So the guidance has shifted. So what would you have been doing back in February if people were telling others to wear masks? You would have taken down their video saying that they're spreading medical misinformation, when they would not have been spreading any kind of medical misinformation, because these are guidances. The WHO does not issue, they issue guidelines on which other health authorities around the world is going to frame their health policies and whatever. So there are no hard facts here, especially where COVID-19 is concerned, because it is an ongoing pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. And as the reality of the situation on the ground sets in, then we have to flex and adjust to it. And therefore, it simply means that in that space of uncertainty, people must be able to have opposing views. The people must be able to challenge the official narrative. Because if you are saying we cannot challenge the official narrative, then how do we know that the official narrative has any kind of veracity? How do you determine whether or not the official narrative stands up to scrutiny if scrutiny is not allowed? That does not make any sense to me. People should be able to voice their opinion, and so, because COVID-19 affects me, it affects my life. You cannot tell me that I cannot have an opinion on it. I have to listen to what the WHO says. The WHO does not know how I live. The WHO doesn't know anything about my life and how it is impacting me. So you can't tell me that I can't have an opinion. You cannot tell me that. And the last time I checked, we were not in Russia. YouTube is headquartered somewhere, I think, in California in the United States of America, which is supposed to be a paragon of democracy. Well, okay. So what does this policy mean? If you are posting content, do not post content on YouTube if it includes the following: treatment misinformation, discourages someone from seeking medical treatment by encouraging the use of cures or remedies to treat COVID-19. How is that treatment misinformation? Moreover, at the end of the day, there are no treatment for COVID-19. The WHO and the CDC has not published any form of treatment for COVID-19. There isn't any. So how, if you are telling someone that, okay, you can take ginger and you can have ginger juice and lime juice and whatever, and it will at least boost your immune system, and if you have a strong immune system, I mean, you're fighting a virus, hello, the focus would be on your immune system and not the virus. You understand? So treatment misinformation, this is ridiculous, because there is no treatment according to the WHO and the CDC for COVID-19. What they can do is provide supportive care. So if you have respiratory problems, you go in and they put you on a ventilator. If you have a fever, they can give you something to take the fever down. I don't get it. There is no treatment for COVID-19. The WHO and the CDC has not issued any guidance on that. So how can you have a policy around that when they have not issued any official whatever? Content that encourages the use of home remedies in place of medical treatment, such as... But so why is this limited to COVID-19? There are billions of videos on YouTube that are telling people what to eat to lose weight, what to do to fight colon cancer and this and that. So why those should be against your policies as well? Why is it, what is so special about COVID-19? I don't understand, because there are videos that are purporting the same thing that you're saying here relating to other illnesses. Content that encourages the use of prior or rituals in place of medical treatment. So you are basically telling people that they cannot have their religious views are not welcome on YouTube. Is that what you're saying, YouTube? Because this does not make any sense. People, I mean, claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities or WHO. But they are expert opinions that challenge the prevailing narrative. So what about those people? Are you saying that their years of experience in the field in treating infectious diseases are invalid? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't understand. Content that claims that any current available medicine prevents you from getting the coronavirus. But how would you know that? So basically they don't want you. YouTube, I see you. I see you. Because how would you determine that? If a doctor has, you know, undertake a treatment protocol for his or her COVID-19 patients, are you therefore saying that it is not to the public benefit for that physician to come forward and say, hey, listen, I have undergone this treatment protocol and it worked. We should do a study to investigate the efficacy of the treatment to see if it can be popular, if it can be extrapolated to the general. So essentially what YouTube is doing here is suppressing any information about COVID-19. That's what you're doing, YouTube. Other content that discourages people from consulting a medical professional or seeking medical advice. Obviously, that one is okay, because you should not discourage people from seeking medical advice. Right? But then again, you have a right to do so. They have a right not to listen. I mean, it's a free country, and it's a free world, or it should be. I should be able to tell people, don't go see a doctor. Why would they want to listen to me? I mean, at the end of the day, people have a right to make up their own minds about whatever it is that they absorb. This is a creative space. And if my channel is not for you, then you just gonna move on to something else. So I'm not really to understand this either. Prevention, misinformation. Content that promotes a prevention method that contradict local health authorities or WHO. So essentially you are suppressing any information out there that might prove beneficial to people in saving their lives. This does not make any sense, YouTube. Your policies do not make any sense. All I see this as is literally just suppressing information regarding COVID-19, and we are supposed to be like sheeps and just go with whatever they tell us. I hope when the government makes a policy that YouTube doesn't like, you go along with it and you don't fight it in court, because that is the whole point of a democracy. The WHO can issue whatever guideline it feels like issuing. It doesn't mean that people have to follow those guidelines. They are guidelines. They are not hard facts relating to the pandemic. So all of this policy, all you're trying to do here is to prevent people from talking about the ill, to prevent medical. Basically, you're saying that even if a scientist finds out anything credible relating to the disease, they cannot come now on YouTube on their channel and say, listen, I've done this. And when people are talking about the blatant censoring of people, we file it in the conspiracy theory file. But this is YouTube basically telling you that you can't say anything about COVID-19 unless you are just regurgitating what the WHO says. And the CDC. Local health authorities are not saying anything because they're following the WHO and CDC, so that's irrelevant. They just put it there as a fluff. Claims that there's a guaranteed prevention method for COVID-19. But you don't know if there is. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will cause death, infertility, or contraction of other infectious diseases. But YouTube, you don't know that. These vaccines are experimental vaccines. So how can you be censoring? So basically, if I took the vaccine and something happened to me, you're telling me that I cannot come on here and tell the people that I took the vaccine and this is what happened to me. This is not protecting anybody. This is pushing forward a fake narrative and screwing the narrative in one place. And all you are doing is bolstering and validating the claims that people have out there that this whole thing is a big facade. You are not doing anything to help to make people trust the CDC or the WHO. Because all this is doing is just telling us that something is terribly wrong with this pandemic. Something stinks to high heaven regarding COVID-19. Because if you can't say anything about it, otherwise I'm going to take your video down, then claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will contain substances that are not on the vaccine ingredient list, such as fecal tissue. But that is nothing new. That is something that has been proven before, where when they go take the thing to a lab and do a trace on it, there's stuff in there that is not listed on the official label. So how can you be censoring people for that? So basically, if an independent lab, was to take a sample of the vaccine, I want you to understand what YouTube is doing, you know. If an independent lab were to take a sample of the vaccine, that is any one of them, and run it, do a test on it to see if everything that is on the label as far as the content of the vaccine is up to par and up to standard, and they find that there are conflicting stories there, they cannot come on YouTube and make any video relating to that. How is that preventing a risk of egregious harm to people? Because if you find something out about this pandemic that is not publicly known, you can't talk about it. That's what YouTube is saying. You're censored. This is censorship. It is just unfortunate that I don't have the money. I would sue them because this is blatant censorship. Other content that discourages... No. I read that already. claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will alter a person's genetic makeup. Are you saying that the vaccines do not? Because essentially what you are saying here, YouTube, is, well, I guess, and for anyone who is listening, you can sue YouTube. Because it is in their COVID-19 policy that essentially, if you're saying that I cannot make a claim that the vaccine alters a person's DNA, what you are saying in essence is that it does not. Right? So if it so be the case that people take the vaccine and it alters their DNA, they can sue you, YouTube. They can. Because you're saying the vaccine doesn't. How do you know that? You are not a vaccine making entity. You're not making any vaccines. So how can you therefore know? The WHO and the CDC have not, what they have done is given an emergency use authorization. The vaccines are still pretty much new and they're experimental, so they don't know. So even they cannot say. They are relying on the word of the companies that are making these vaccines. And we all know from history that they have never been ethical or forthcoming when it comes to the human species, because it's money and profit over people. We know that. That's why there was the Nuremberg trial. Or did YouTube forget about that? People must be able to have spirited discussions about things that impact them and their lives. COVID-19 affects everyone. So we all have a say. There is no misinformation when it comes to COVID-19. We all have a voice because it affects every one of us. We're all quarantined, locked down, out of job, tired, fed up, frustrated, depressed, suffering from PTSD. Some have had their family members affected from it. Some family members have died. We're all impacted by this. So for you to even suggest that we do not have a voice, and the only time we can say anything relating to COVID-19 is if we are regurgitating, because essentially this is what you're saying, information from the CDC and the WHO. Moreover, the CDC is a US-based organization. It's not a world organization. So persons in other countries do not subscribe to what the CDC says. The last time I checked, the CDC is a US-based organization. It's not a global organization. It's specifically to the US. The only entity, therefore, would be, I think, PAHO, and I don't hear them saying anything. And is it Pan American Health? That's what PAHO is. PAHO and WHO. So it would be international health organizations that you would look to, and not, because YouTube serves the globe, not just people in the US. Everybody across the world is on YouTube, so you can't even to cite you don't know what the local authorities in another country are saying. I don't get it, but whatever. Claims that any vaccine causes contraction of COVID-19. But what is this vaccine doing? Aren't they sending message to your body to produce the spike protein of COVID-19? Isn't that what they're doing? That's what the mRNA vaccines are doing. They're instructing your body to make the COVID-19 spike protein. And if you do a test, you're going to test positive for it. Claims that a specific population will be required. Claims that a specific population will be required to take part in vaccine trials or receive the vaccine first. But isn't this the topic of debate right now? They are debating who should get the vaccine. This is literally what is going on as we speak. They are debating who should get the vaccine first. So this policy, does that make any sense? There's not diagnostic misinformation. Content that promotes diagnostic methods that contradict local health authorities or WHO. That's all they have. So basically, if you are telling people that there is another way to check if you can test for COVID-19, which how? Transmission misinformation. Content that promotes transmission information that contradicts local health authorities or WHO. Content that claims that COVID-19 is not caused by a viral infection. Content that claims COVID-19 is not contagious. Content that claims that COVID-19 cannot spread in certain climates or geographies. Content that claims that any group or individual has immunity to the virus or cannot transmit the virus. At one point, wasn't the WHO saying that children can't get it? I am quite certain that way back up in February or March, thereabouts, the WHO was saying that children can't get it. Until children start getting it and then they revise their position. Content that disputes the efficacy of local health authorities or WHO's guidance on physical distancing or self-isolation measures to reduce transmission of COVID-19. You know what? I'm not going to say anything because the WHO and the CDC is your guidance. They don't give you hard facts relating to the virus. So, to discourage a discourse surrounding these guidelines that are affecting, because if you're telling me I must remain 6 feet apart, it affects my life. You can't tell me I don't have an opinion. I can't have an opinion, or I can't voice an objection, or I can't question the efficacy of these methods. If you're standing 6 feet apart from me, you're telling me that if I'm talking, you can't contract the virus from 6 feet away. That doesn't make any sense. Just think about it. Especially in a closed setting. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. But, you know what? Whatever. Educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic content. We may allow content that violates the misinformation policies noted on this page if that content includes context that gives equal or greater weight to countervailing views of local health authorities or to medical or scientific consensus. We may also make exceptions if the purpose of the content is to condemn or dispute. So, if you are disputing misinformation, we will push you up there. Because at the end of the day, the other side of the story is irrelevant. Because in a debate, you only hear one side. When you go to court, the judge only hears one side of the story. When you have a dispute, the dispute resolution tribunal only hears one side of the story. The other party, the defendant, is literally at the mercy of the arbitrators of justice because his or her side of the story is disallowed. That's essentially what YouTube is saying. You don't have a voice in this. So we are only here for the plaintiff, the defendant. You cannot say anything, otherwise you're banned. That's essentially what you're saying. The context must appear to the image or audio of the video itself, providing it. We may also take exceptions if the purpose of the content is to condemn or dispute misinformation that violates our policies. This context must appear in the image or audio of the video itself, providing it in the title or description is insufficient. Examples. Here are some examples of content that's not allowed on YouTube. Denial that COVID-19 exists. Claims that people have not died from COVID-19. Claims that any vaccine is a guaranteed prevented method of COVID-19. But what if the health authorities say that? Because isn't that what these vaccines are supposed to be doing anyway? Preventing you from catching it and getting sick. claims that a specific treatment or medicine is a guaranteed cure for COVID-19. Claims that certain people have immunity to COVID-19 due to their race or nationality. Encouraging taking home remedies instead of getting medical treatment when sick. Discouraging people from consulting a medical professional if they are sick. Claims that holding your breath can be as a diagnostic test for COVID-19. Wasn't it a doctor who made a video regarding that? Videos alleging that if you avoid Asian food, you won't get the coronavirus. But how is that going to... How does that pose as... How does that pose a serious risk of egregious harm? How does telling someone that if they avoid eating Asian food, they're not going to catch COVID-19, how does that pose serious risk of egregious harm? Videos alleging that setting off fireworks can clean the air of the virus and will prevent the spread of the virus. Claims that COVID-19 is caused by radiation from 5G networks. Videos alleging that the COVID-19 test is the cause of the virus. So how do you know that it doesn't cause the virus, YouTube? You don't know what is on those cotton swab because they put reagents on them. So, I mean, me not really too under basic... whatever. Claims that countries with hot climates will not experience the spread of the virus. Wasn't... Videos alleging that social distancing and self-isolation are not effective in reducing the spread of the virus. Well, we are social distancing and isolating, and the virus is still... pretty much the numbers are still going up every day. People are dying every day, and we're seeing countries entering tier 4 and tier 5 lockdowns. So res ipsa loquitur. Claims that COVID-19 vaccines will kill people who receive it. Actually, a few persons have died after taking the vaccine. If someone died after taking the vaccine, it's not a claim, it's a fact. So I don't understand you, YouTube. I don't understand. If someone took the vaccine, like the lady who was on the TV and she collapsed, I think about 10 minutes or so after she, I don't remember. She collapsed some minutes after she took the vaccine. So I can't post a video reacting to that. It's misinformation that is going to cause serious risk of egregious harm. I don't get it. Claims that the COVID vaccine will be used as a means of population reduction. So how do you know that YouTube, I'm talking to you now, because clearly you must be watching the video. There is evidence on there are people who have posted on this website where there have been investigations surrounding certain vaccines where it was found factually that not only did the vaccines cause harm, but it also sterilized some women in Africa and India. YouTube, there is a vaccine injury court, a court of special masters in your country, the United States of America, that has paid out to date over $4 billion in vaccine compensation. So how then can you have a policy saying that people who have been injured by a vaccine cannot take their case to YouTube and alert the general public? You have engaged in an act of tyranny. This is a dictatorship. You cannot tell people what they can and cannot say regarding something that is impacting their lives. It is not your place to say. If you believe everything that the WHO and the CDC says, fine. The same avenues that are available to you for listening to them and hearing what they have to say. Because by this policy should extend to everything. It should extend to everything and not just COVID-19. And by this policy, pretty much most of the videos on YouTube would have been taken down. Because a lot of people are blogging about stuff that are happening because that's where you get your content from. Whatever is happening in your environment, that is where you get your content from. There are laws, there are rules, and various rules, there are guidelines, there are code of ethics, and so on and so forth. There are religious people who do not subscribe to certain things. Right? For instance, some do not believe in taking vaccinations. So you're basically telling that they can come on YouTube and say, and essentially exercise religious freedom. That's what you're saying regarding COVID-19. This does not make any sense. Videos claiming that the COVID-19 vaccine will contain fetal tissue. AstraZeneca did say that their vaccine had the, how do I put it, like a replicated DNA of some some aborted fetus from the 1960s or something of the sort. So, okay. Claims that the flu vaccine causes contraction of COVID-19. Apparently YouTube did a study and found that it does not. So you can't, it's misinformation if you make that claim, because YouTube has their study that they have conducted to say that it does not. Claims that the COVID-19 vaccine causes contraction of other infectious diseases or makes people more vulnerable to contraction of other infectious diseases. But this is an established fact regarding other existing vaccines that are out there, that they have made people way more susceptible to other disease, and those diseases kill them. The COVID-19 vaccine is an experimental vaccine. So in essence, you don't know. Nobody knows what these vaccines will do to human beings, because there is not enough time that has elapsed for anyone to make a declarative judgment regarding the efficacy, adverse events. We cannot sufficiently speak on adverse events that arise from any COVID-19 vaccinations, because adverse events generally take up to 2 years to manifest in vaccine recipients. So this one should be up for the grabs. If someone has taken the vaccine and they have suffered or they have experienced an adverse event, basically YouTube is saying that you cannot come on their platform and speak your truth, because the truth is not relevant as far as YouTube is concerned. All they care about is pushing a narrative that makes you afraid of COVID-19 and want to take a vaccine. That's all I'm getting from this. This is not telling me anything, because none of what is here, because by having these guidelines, you are retrospectively ratifying the opposing view. That's what you are doing. Because if you're saying these claims are misinformation, then the counter argument with that, the opposing view to these claims would be correct information. And that is not true. Claims that the COVID-19 vaccine will contain a microchip or tracking device. There was a news report where they were speaking to a company that was manufacturing the syringes for the COVID-19 vaccine, and the gentleman said that there would be a chip in there that is specific to the dose, and it will tell you who got what dose. And so essentially, if you do any of these things, like I apparently did, YouTube will remove the video, and if you persist, they will continue to put strikes against your channel. And one strike means you can't post anything for 1 week, 7 full days. So my previous channel, KFCH Blog, has received a strike for spreading medical misinformation, which was just me reposting some videos that are already on YouTube. But I guess because it's from probably Fox News or so, and they can't put a strike on Fox News, but they can put a strike on me. So Fox News and CNN and these people are not spreading medical misinformation when they are reporting the news. But if you now repost whatever it is that they have reported, you are in breach of YouTube's policy. There was a Senate hearing where a doctor went before the Senate and was advancing a possible treatment for COVID-19, and that is why YouTube has deleted my video to say I am giving medical misinformation. So a Senate hearing in the United States of America is construed as medical misinformation, YouTube. This was widely publicized on all major media outlets in the United States of America, and I'm sure across the globe. So if the doctor is going to Senate to plead his case, and I am putting it on my channel to say this doctor went to the Senate, and I'm reposting it from Fox News, because my channel is not Fox News, so I get you delete the video because I'm spreading medical misinformation. How does that make any sense? Anybody can go on the news and say whatever they want to say, but you can't come on YouTube and say what you want to say, and YouTube is not a platform that is on your TV that you know people are forced to look at. You know, when you go on YouTube, is what you search for you see. If my content is not in your search criteria, it's not gonna come up. Because it's not like I have 60 million people following me, so it's going to be at the top of the page whether you're looking for me or not. Because those videos that you see at the top are generally channels that are popular. A channel like mine, you're not going to see the video unless you're specifically searching. So already you would have been within that frame of mind, so I wouldn't be convincing you of anything. So, you know, what this has done is confirm for me that, because YouTube is owned by Google, and I have already proven that Google has stated that they block certain content. So when you're searching for certain things, they block it, or they skew the search results, right? And remember, they are gathering your information, so search results that are populated are based on the information on your profile that Google has on you anyway, right? So the censorship is real. At one point I was a bit skeptical, like, okay, you know, maybe people are just saying, oh, they take my video down, because when they do that, they probably get more views, and people are more interested in hearing what they have to say, because, oh, well, if YouTube take it down, can you know how people are? If something is taboo, they are more inclined to want to see it. So I was one of those skeptics who was like, why would YouTube take down your video? Like, you're nobody. You know, it's like, I mean, it's the equivalent of you throwing a baby in jail for stabbing somebody with a knife. It's like the child doesn't know what the hell he's doing. The knife shouldn't have been in his way in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So nothing is gonna happen. So it's kind of like if the person has a lot of influence, I can understand, because people will give credence to whatever it is you're saying because of the influence, the impact that you have. So you have, I would want to say, you know, maybe 5,000. Well, 5,000 people is not enough anyway. It's not like there's 7 billion people on the planet. Serious risk of egregious harm. 7 billion, 5,000, that's like whatever. So I'm looking at order of magnitude. So if you have, let's say, 100,000, because that's a significant amount of people, you have 100,000 people following you, then you have a significant sphere of influence, because that branches out. Because while because with 100,000 followers, you're gonna get like close to up to sometimes 1 million views, because you get what I'm saying. So your sphere of influence is kind of large. But if you have, I mean, my channel has 1 follower now, because it's new. I just created it because of the strike I have on the other account and can't post anything. So I literally have no followers, and you're taking the video down. So who am I influencing? Even if it poses egregious risk of, who am I influencing? There's nobody following me on this account, because the account is fairly new. So, like, I don't get it. So if you are doing that, it's not about the harm that the content poses. It's that you do not want the information to be out there. A man with a gun that has no bullets in it is no threat. If you have a gun pointed to my head and there's no bullet in the gun, what are you gonna do? Kill me? Of course you can. Not with bullets, because there's no bullet in the goddamn gun. It must be some other way. So if you have no followers, who are you influencing? What kind of harm or risk? If I'm in my house shouting on the top of my lungs about COVID-19, who am I affecting? Nobody. Nobody's hearing me. I'm here by myself. If I go out in the public, nobody knows me, and I'm shouting on the top of my lungs about COVID-19, who am I influencing? They're going to just be like, okay, that's a crackpot. Oh, he's a cokehead. He's a crackhead. He's a method. They're going to ridicule, laugh at me, and not pay me any mind, because I am nobody. So, because I have no influence. But if I am someone of note, then they're going to stop and listen, because I have influence. You get what I'm saying? So when you're going around and blatantly banning everybody for anything that is contrary to the prevailing narrative of something that impacts their lives, something sings to high heaven, YouTube. You are censoring people, and there is absolutely no reason for that. And this is something that has been said and has been predicted even before this whole thing started. This is something that has been predicted. And it is unfortunately no longer a theory. It is a reality. It is a fact. YouTube is censoring people and deleting people's videos. Even if you have a legitimate experience, YouTube classifies your experience as misinformation. If you should take that vaccine right now and you have an adverse event, you cannot post it on YouTube. That's what the policy is saying. That is what the policy is saying, because basically they're saying the vaccine doesn't do anything to you. You're supposed to take it. So if you take it and it makes you ill, you cannot come on YouTube and say, oh well, this is what happened to me. So the only thing they want to hear is, oh, okay, I am fine, everything is good, you go out and you take it. Well, if you're working so hard, because you're supposed to be trying to convince me to take the vaccine, but so far your actions are telling me that I need to be deadly afraid. I wasn't even aware of the policy. I thought it was general, because it should be general medical misinformation and not specific to COVID-19. So I find it peculiar that you have a specific medical misinformation regarding COVID-19. There are myriad of diseases and viruses and whatever that are out there that are killing people. And your medical misinformation policy is on COVID-19. So I can come and say anything about cancer. I can come and say anything about lupus, measles, rubella, polio, smallpox, chikungunya, Zika. I can come and say anything about those things, and you're not going to consider it to be medical misinformation, even though I am not an authority on anything. But I can't speak on COVID-19, a current situation that has devastated billions of people across the world. We are not allowed to have an opinion, YouTube. The truth has to prevail. And in spite of any kind of machinations that you may have, the truth is going to prevail in the end. And my greatest hope is that if this censorship is a part of a greater agenda to mislead and misinform people, and YouTube is complicit, that somebody who has the wherewithal sue them for every penny where them have. This is a creative space, and we should be allowed to express ourselves, especially on matters that are currently impacting us. You cannot tell us we do not have a voice. Isn't that the whole idea of your platform? So that there are varying views and everybody has a little thing there's something for everybody. So if you are a conspiracy theorist, you have your conspiracy theorist community. If you are a spiritual person, you have your spiritual community. If you're an atheist, you have your atheist community. If you're a sports fanatic, you have your sports community. If you're a game head, you have your gaming community. If you're a health nut, you have your health community. If you are a fitness fanatic, you have your fitness. Everything, something is there for everybody. What is so special about COVID-19? Why can't there be a robust debate surrounding the current situation that is affecting every one of us? And these guidelines are draconian and arbitrary, because even the CDC and the WHO, in their guidance, they leave room to flex the guidelines as the situation unfolds. But YouTube is acting as if they have all the information and all the facts, and they know what the facts are and what the facts aren't relating to this disease. The truth is nobody knows, because we are still in the middle of the goddamn pandemic and we're figuring it out. That is why countries are locked down. If they had the information and the facts, they wouldn't be locking down, because a lockdown, the purpose of a lockdown is to get a reprieve so that you can get your bearings and get your house in order to fight this thing. That's the whole point of a lockdown. Generally what usually happens is that they allow the disease to run its course. That is what happened with the flu pandemic. That's why so many people, with the Spanish flu, that's why so many people died. Because they wanted herd immunity, so they let the thing run its course, and everybody catch it, and who died, and who survived. And that's how it works. There is another method where, you do the lockdown and the quarantine and you wait for a vaccine. But during that period, you're locked down, you're quarantined, you're this, you're that, and then even these authorities that you are looking to for information keeps flipping and flopping on the subject. So there is much confusion, and the confusion is not caused by ordinary people like myself. It is caused by the same authorities who are telling you one thing this minute, and then the next minute they do a complete reverse on what they have previously said, and that causes people to become confused. So in that sphere where the information is conflicting, the situation is ongoing, there has to be a debate. People have to be able to voice their opinions and their concerns and whatever it is that they are grappling with. The duty of these organizations is to ensure that, one, you provide accurate information to the people, so that when in doubt, we can say, okay, let me go on the WHO and see what is going on. But right now, if you go on the WHO's website and you're trying to figure out how many people worldwide have recovered from the virus, you don't see it there. It's not there. And it begs the question, why? If you're looking to find how many currently active cases, it's not there on the WHO, because I did last night, and it's not there. And it begs the question, why? Because these are things that people genuinely want to know. So if the persons who you are saying we should defer to are not giving us the information, are suppressing certain information, how then can you blame us for being suspicious of what is happening? And then you're trying to muzzle us now to say, oh, well, you can't say anything about COVID-19. How dare you? This is not Nazi Germany. That time has passed. There is really a crisis of democracy. And we are seeing where George Orwell's prediction is playing out right before our eyes. And he begged us not to let it happen. And I will not stop fighting YouTube. I will speak my mind. I will say what I have to say. Because I know that I am not here to pose any risk or any harm to people. I would never do that. If I felt that the information, well, I wouldn't put forward any information that I feel or suspect or have any hint that it would cause harm to people. I would never do that. And if I see anybody doing it, I will be the one to counteract whatever it is that they are saying. There is nothing in my video that poses a serious risk of egregious harm to people for you to take my videos down and keep taking them down to say I'm spreading medical misinformation when a whole Senate hearing was had on the subject matter that I brought forth on my video. The truth must be told. And you have exercised a monopoly, and you are abusing the monopoly power that you have, YouTube. And it is quite unfortunate. And I'm going to continue to speak the truth. You want to strike the channel, delete the channel, then guess what? Go right ahead. Because I will find some other way to let the truth be told. Because we understand that slavery was never abolished because of empathy or because the slave masters had a crisis of conscience. Someone had to be brave enough to stand up and fight for what they knew was right. And that is why we enjoy these freedoms today. So I will not be silenced, I will not be censored, I will not be a complicit party in the disinformation that is, or the propaganda or whatever it is that you guys are doing, that I am not going to be complicit in it. I am going to continue to find avenues to tell the truth. And that is all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.